Whoops! Life happens. Whether it's slippery mitts on your morning coffee or the shock at pouring curdled milk into your fruity pebbles, we all have our moments. Good thing then there's an easy way to clean it all up, at least that's the pitch from Roborock about its new Flexi Pro. But how does it tackle the worst part, emptying out all the nasty slop, with a surprising design feature? I'm Erin from Tech Gadgets Canada and Tech Gadgets International, and in my hands-on in-home review here, I'm going to put it to the test to see what makes it unique, how well it actually cleans, what it's like to clean up after you use it, and if overall it's been a good addition to my home. What do you get here? Roborock Flexi Pro is an upright, cordless, wet-dry mop that also has some vacuuming properties. This version is slimmer, lighter, and more compact than some others. It can also clean itself and dry the mop roller. It's important to note that Roborock isn't the only brand that has a wet-dry vacuum like this. I've already reviewed the Roborock Dyad and Dyad Pro, as well as some Tinco versions. You can check out those here on the channel or stick around till the end and I'll link them up for you. What's new here? You may be familiar with the original Roborock upright mopping product, the Roborock Dyad and Dyad Pro. Dyad Pro is still out there, and you could say it's Roborock's flagship mop vac product. You could think of the Flexi as its slimmed down cousin. There are a couple of new features with this mop though. Flexi Pro is lighter thanks to a slimmer design with smaller water tanks, and it can lay virtually flat to reach under furniture and clean there. Head-to-head against Dyad Pro, you will find that the Dyad Pro has a few extras like a special cleaning solution tank, but the suction power of 17,000 pascals is the same on both Dyad and Flexi Pro. Dyad Pro also has 2 rows of mopping rollers where Flexi Pro has 1. It also has what I'll call power assist and what Roborock calls slide tech. In a nutshell, it allows power assistance when you're moving the mop across your floors. This makes it really light to operate, and I'll get to more on what this is like in just a second. Now, one of the other reasons you might love this product is that it allows you to tackle both wet and dry messes with one device. That means you can do things like pick up a spilled bowl of cereal or soup a lot more easily. Now, what really sets the Flexi Pro apart from the rest of the wet-dry vacuum cleaners is its flat reach design here. This feature lets the vacuum lay completely flat on the ground, meaning you can slide it in and under sofas, beds, and other heavy furniture. The ability to lay flat is due in part to the smaller water tanks on the Flexi Pro. One of the downsides of a large upright mop like this can be that it's heavy and kind of awkward to move. Roborock solves this problem by adding power assistance to both the push and the pulling motions of the mop. What that means is that as you begin to push it forward, you'll feel the power assistance kick in, and Flexi Pro will begin to pull itself across the floor until it encounters gentle resistance. Once you begin to pull it back towards yourself for the next pass, the power assistance reverses and it helps you reel it back in. I'm going to stop down and give you a quick demo here in the studio in my home so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, hopefully. Using this feature is pretty trippy from what I've experienced with it. It reacts really quickly to the direction you're using the mop in, and it makes it really much more effortless to clean your floor. Hopefully you can see I'm basically pulling this around with one finger. So the other thing that it does really well is that when you're turning the mop, just by giving it a little turn with your hand, that power assistance really helps it with the steering. Let's take a look at how well it cleans. With all products like this, I run them through the same set of tests. I'll mop up wet and dry messes. I'll also let some spills like coffee or wine dry on the floor to test the scrubbing power. I also spend a week or two just using the product to clean up around the house to see how it feels to use and if I find I'm reaching for it so much that it's truly helpful. Flexi Pro has been great at mopping up small wet spills. With that 17,000 pascals of suction, it works like a charm, inhaling liquids easily. Even things that combine wet and dry bits are easy to tackle with the Flexi Pro. On thicker messes like this sticky syrup, it does an equally great job, but it might require a few more passes. When it comes to scouring dried-on stains like this thick ketchup, perhaps not surprisingly, it requires several more passes to scrub it away. Now, despite the fact it didn't get every last bit in this test, I was actually still pretty happy with the performance. Dried-on 2-day-old ketchup is a bear to get off surfaces on the best of days, even with a scraper, so the fact the Flexi Pro alone was able to get about 90 95% of it off the floor was actually pretty impressive. What was left did need to be scraped off more forcefully. The other thing I really appreciate about a device like this is that I don't need to vacuum before I mop. There's often dog hair around our 2-dog house, and not having to run the vacuum before I mop is a huge time saver. Flexi Pro just sucks it all up and deposits it into the filter basket inside the dirty water tank. And that brings us to my least favorite part about a machine like this, and that's emptying out the dirty water tank. Now, depending on what you vacuumed or mopped up and how gross it is, this could be a pretty nasty chore. But surprisingly, Roborock thought about this, and it's actually so well designed, it's not that bad. Life is made way easier by a small filter basket which sits inside the dirty water tank. It catches particles and strains them from the rest of the liquid. It's so smart that it's kind of like a scoop-shaped sling, and it means I don't need to touch it and nothing falls out. I just dumped the filtered debris into the garbage and poured out the rest of the liquid. This also means no need to clean out the sink afterwards either. Flexi Pro has 3 cleaning modes that use more or less water to clean, and using the small touch screen on the top of the handle, you can swap through the 3, which are Auto, Max, and Eco modes. Now, Eco mode uses less power and suction to maximize your battery life, making this the best choice if you need to clean while you're running low on power. Auto mode will intelligently adjust the brush roller's speed along with the suction power in real time, and Max mode just uses the most powerful suction and the most amount of water to get your floors extra clean if they need it. One of the downsides of owning an upright cordless mop like this can be that it needs to be cleaned regularly, both the rollers and the insides. Depending on what you're mopping up, this can get pretty gross, and even more so if you don't clean the machine after each use. Roborock at least lets you help take care of some of that maintenance by doing it for you. All you have to do is place the mop into its flat plastic platform base. With the push of a button, it starts the self-cleaning routine, which takes about 2 minutes. This automatically flushes the tubes and tanks inside by heating up the clean water and then saturating and spinning the mops to squeegee off the grime. When the big rinse is done, Flexi Pro dries itself with hot air to ensure it's not just clean, but it doesn't get mildewed from sitting wet. Lastly, while it's not a requirement to get the maximum cleaning capacity out of this vacuum mop, getting the Roborock app and pairing it with your Flexi Pro will unlock some more features. For example, you get access to the self-cleaning scheduling function where the machine can take care of maintenance itself. There's also water temperature controls and maintenance reminders too. One other thing you can manage with the app is voice alerts. Yes, one of the interesting things that people are either going to love or hate about this device is that it talks to you. Flexi Pro will give you cues about what it's doing and what it needs from you. It'll tell you if it's about to start a self-clean, if it needs water, and more. Now, the voice arrives from the factory set to full volume, so if you want to dial it back or shut it off altogether, you can do this in the app. Overall, the Roborock Flexi Pro is filling a new gap in the cordless wet-dry mop category. Let's take a look at its pros and cons. On the pro side, Flexi Pro is fairly light and slim, making it easier to tote around if you have a multi-story home. Despite the smaller water tanks, I still had the chance to clean my floors about 5 days in a row, and the water tank was still about half full. The cleaning power is actually really good, and I was surprised at how much scouring power it has. Plus, the power assistance on both the push and the pull, not to mention the turning assistance, makes it a dream to maneuver around. It also lays completely flat to get under beds and furniture, and with an outer edge-to-edge roller, it's able to get right up against baseboards and plates. And when the work is done, the machine cleans itself and dries the roller. So what are the cons? It's been hard to find fault with this device. It delivers on what it promises, and it's a surprisingly handy and convenient tool to keep in the kitchen. I suppose its worst features could be maybe the unattractive docking plate, but it's barely noticeable with the machine sitting on it. The other task, which might end up being kind of unpleasant, is emptying the dirty water tank, particularly depending on what you had to clean up. But it's hard to deduct points for this because Roborock has actually done a killer job of making this really easy with the strainer system that's built into the dirty water tank. If there are things you think might be missing, like dirt detection or larger water tanks, you can always upgrade to the Dyad Pro instead. In short, Roborock Flexi Pro is a capable cordless mop vac, and I can definitely recommend it for you. Flexi Pro sells for about $4.99 US or $8.30 Canadian, and you can get it from Roborock or from Amazon. And don't forget to check out some of the other upright cordless mopping devices I've reviewed, like the Roborock Dyad Pro, or see what competitor Timco is up to right now.